Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, I cannot wait to introduce our guest to you again. But before I do, I want to let you know where you are and what you're watching. You are watching Truer MU. This is my musical journey or my regular journey through guests of people I've always wanted to talk to and things I've always wanted to talk about. I don't know where the journey will end or where it's going, but I'm happy to have you along. And if you want to keep the journey going, please like and share. We're always happy to hear from you. And if there's someone you want to see on the show, let me know. Regular guests to this show, excuse me, not regular guests, but regular subscribers to this show, have seen me interview this guest before. This is an old friend of mine from college who did a wonderful thing with her career and had many wonderful albums and songs, and we talked about them. And she recently released a new album called Out of the Darkness. And I asked her if she'd like to be on the show again. Actually, she asked me if she could be on the show again, and I always love that. And I said yes. So we're going to be talking about her album. Her name is Stephanie Bettman. And if you want to know more about Stephanie that we don't talk about in this interview, there's a link below to the previous interview. But in the meantime, Stephanie Bettman, welcome back to our show.
Hello.
How are
Nice
you?
to meet you. I am all right. I'm good.
You were saying before we went live here that you're fried to a crisp from the effort of your most
Yes.
recent project.
Yes, I am. I am. The music business has changed a lot since I started back in 2005, 7,
Yeah.
when I transitioned from being an actress to being a musician full time. And the music business has evolved since then. So it's an interesting thing to have had this career that, was trucking along, and we had, pretty much established ourselves, at least to the degree that we had established ourselves as my with my duo, Bettman and Halpin, to have taken the time off in COVID and to have just sort of, done the kind of given myself the space to realize I wanted to make something new, something bigger, something different. And now to have launched that into the world in this new music business, I have been humbled. I gotta say, it's not a business that supports the doing of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been yeah, it's been, I don't know, I guess I don't know if disillusionment is the right word,
Hmm.
or um I feel like I have hurled myself against the biggest mountain yet, and I have exhausted myself and not gotten there and crumbled.
Wow.
Honestly, that's how I feel. Like I'm taking some time off now. I'm sort of in a sort of self-imposed sabbatical-ish, except that I feel guilty for not working. So like I maybe need to make an actual decision and call it what it is so that I won't feel guilty. Um yeah, though it's whew, I don't think I like the new music business.
Well, let's separate from the business for a bit, although I want to talk more about your impressions of the business because that's relevant. I want to talk first about the album itself. What
Yeah.
was your impetus for creating this album?
Um, well, I had and honestly still have this vision in my head that I have been walking toward, working toward, which brings together all of my creative passions over my lifetime, which started with dance and incorporated aerial when I was living in Los Angeles, and I did aerial for a while, and obviously music and storytelling, as well as video, the use of video. I don't know. I'm sure probably most people who go out to see big shows these days have seen how sometimes how they're using video, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's like mind expanding, and it's just like it's mystical. It's fabulous. I love it. I've seen a few dance shows that have used video in a way that just totally blew my mind. So like that's been an inspiration. So I have this vision, and so the music part of it, the album itself, has come from that vision, but also just the songs that were coming up for me, and having, worked been in a time of tremendous transition, huge transition, personally and professionally. And all of the sort of questions one asks and, the challenges. So I just wrote the songs that were coming to me, and I actually have quite a bit more that's sort of written, half produced. But these were the ones that wanted to be on this collection. And as it came together, it is this sort of theatrical journey, honestly. It really is. And the way I orchestrated it and the way I arranged it is to be listened to as a journey from the beginning to the end. And it's sort of in my intention. And if I ever manage to put together the live show that I envision, it is a mystical sort of soul journey. So it's kind of, I even used a quote from Joseph Campbell in the actual album artwork because it really is inspired by that idea of a hero's journey or the shamanic journey of that starting in a place of sort of open innocence, hearing the invitation, having to make the journey into the darkness. You learn what you learn there and you have to find your way out. And but when you come out, you are this new person. You're a new person. You're a new, different, arguably much more powerful version of you.
Was
So
that
that,
what you were seeking with the creation of this work, to go into the darkness and come out more powerful?
well, I mean, I was telling stories, and yes, some of them were coming from me, and there are certainly messages in this record that I needed, and that I sometimes still listen to my record. I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote that for me. Uh, um,
Hmm.
I mean, was it my intention to personally go into the darkness and come back out? I feel like that's a journey I've made in my life more than once, and I have been in that journey again. I'm not sure I'm all the way out, to be completely honest. So I think there may be partially hope in that record that, that I will get there. Um, but in the creation of it, I really wasn't thinking about me. I mean, I am, of course, the filter through which it all came, but I was thinking about the creation, making the creation. What does it want to be? How does it want to flow? So yeah, so that's how it became what it is.
You mentioned transitions, personally and professionally. Do you want to talk about what those transitions are?
Um, well, I'm not sure I'm crystal clear on all of them. There during this time that I've been working on the record, and I think since the last time we spoke, I don't remember
Been about
when
a year, I
it
think.
actually, but yeah, maybe a year. So it's been a year of major sort of looking at things. Yeah, just there's been a lot of shifts in my relationships. And one of my most foundational relationships shifted in a fundamental way. It's still, it's still a relationship in my life, but it's not what it was. Um, and a lot of friendships went away. So it's been a year of sort of like of well loss, I guess, of loss and reevaluating and a lot of stuff that I think everybody goes through this to some extent in their lives, but things that you patterns that you've had in your life that you maybe didn't see, you get to a certain point and you see them and you look back and you're like, oh shit, that's the same thing and the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. I've been doing the same thing. I've been going around and around. It's that, conversation around karma. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with sort of the ideas of karma, but um, from a certain perspective, a lifetime and maybe multiple lifetimes is just this round and around and around and around and around. And you think you're getting somewhere, but you're not. But maybe you are like on a soul level, but it takes so long. Um, and people like to talk about how, the cycles of life are circular, but they're a spiral, like a spiral staircase going upwards. And I want to believe that. Um, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I do. But I mean, we do learn, hopefully. I don't know. Sometimes you repeat the same pattern and you think you're doing it differently. That's the thing,
Yeah.
you know? And then you don't know that it's the same pattern over and over and over again. So anyway, that this has been a year about seeing that as well.
Hmm.
Seeing the hurling myself at, well, really, Sisyphus is the is the myth
Rolling the stone up the hill and never quite
relating to.
making it
Yeah,
over.
like, forever rolling a stone up a hill, never like, I've got this, I've got this, I'm gonna get there. And then there's never any there. There's just another hill and a bigger stone. And yeah, so I mean it's been a time of just looking at all of that and really asking the questions of like what's the point of this? What am I needing to get from it? What am I trying to give? Does it matter if I give it and the numbers don't reflect quote success, um, or the money doesn't reflect success? The new music business is all about streaming, which for the independent artist is basically you're giving your music away. Um, So, yeah, I just recently read an article from Tony Van Deen of CD Baby, and he was breaking down the math of how Spotify's royalties where they actually go, since they made their decision in 2024 not to pay artists for less than 1,000 streams. And the number of songs on the Spotify platform currently that have less than 1,000 streams is like 84% of the music on Spotify. So, anyway, I mean, just I've hurled myself at this business and at this question, and I've sunk a lot of money and energy and time and my own efforts um, into trying to crack this nut, and it has cracked me, to be frank.
Wow. Well, if you've mentioned the idea of karma and you've also mentioned the idea of repeating a pattern again and again, do you feel that this album, in retrospect, is you doing it differently, or do you look back and say, nope, I just did it again?
This album creatively is different. It's definitely this album definitely reflects my growth as an artist and my tools, my um more developed tools and intuition and, all of the things like the songwriting, the production. I'm so proud of this music. Honestly, I really do believe that it's the best. I feel it's the best music I've made so far in my career. Um, it certainly is the closest to kind of mainstream what, what you hear that's like the big guys, the big names. Not It's also very, very eclectic, which is that's often the case for me because I can't and don't want to write the same song twice. And God forbid I would never write a whole album of everything that sounds pretty much the same. So it sounds like it's like really different. Um, so in terms of those elements, in terms of the creative elements, no, it's not me doing the same thing. It's me. I mean, there are certain, recording a song is recording a song in terms of you got to, you learn the ways to do the thing and you make the thing. But no, I really do believe that all of my growth and all of my experience came to bear, and I'm very proud of this music. Very proud of it. And I'm proud of the fact that that it is a journey and that it is strung together intentionally as a journey. I mean, that doesn't fit the business. It's not what people listen to music for anymore. People don't listen to albums, the way they used to.
Right.
But this is meant for that, And even Spotify, like I go and check out my own profile and they've broken up like you have to click on the album itself to get it in order. Otherwise, you get it in popularity, like
Hmm.
which song has the most plays, which is not the order it's intended to be heard in.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I sort of feel like I'm the heretic artist. Like I'm doing what I want to do and screw the rules and screw the business, and then I'm trying to do the business, but I'm not doing what the business is actually you know, just make one song and release a single and make it sound like everything else. Um,
Because
why? Because what?
why aren't you doing that?
Because I'm the kind of artist who creates to create. I am not a craftsman who creates to sell. And that's been an ongoing sort of growing awareness
Hmm.
on this whole like nearly 20 years I've been doing music. And what inspires me is what inspires me. Like what wants to come through me is what wants to come through me. And it isn't, oh, how can I craft a song that sounds like Taylor Swift's latest hit? That's just like the idea of that just sounds soul killing to me. Like, what's the point of that? I'm me. I'm not Taylor Swift. She's her. She can do her. Um, but unfortunately, businesses, especially the arts businesses, are quite frequently what's popular here. Let's do a bunch of things that are like that and feed them to the people who like that.
Right.
And that's with the algorithms and everything, and being able to fit into a neat little box.
So
That's all part of marketing.
you're comfortable with yourself as a creative person who does what they want to do, what they feel they should do. And yet there is this sense of disappointment, anger, and I'm trying to get at the anger. Is it that you would like to be received as this person? Is that what's going on?
It's that I would like to see a path towards success that is achievable. And currently I don't. Now, there is just, the pie in the sky. Well, you never know what's going to happen. Kind of, I've released the music and I'm going to keep doing what I can. Like I'm doing this, with you. Like I'm glad to be having this conversation with you about the music and, to kind of keep it alive in the world that way. But in terms of the sort of prescribed requirements of constantly creating social media content, constantly being a talking head, constantly putting yourself in front of people, through whatever means you have with and paying for advertisings and all of the things. Um, I try, that's what I've been actually working on since January of 2024 because pretty much the music was finished by then. And then I started just doing marketing and releasing singles and intending to build toward, the release of the full album. And after about 6 months of that, hitting June of 2024, I was crispy and I just couldn't do it. I just, as one person, who's having to pay all the help that I have and not any, external source of income, not only just the financials of it, but the energy financials of it, the energy economics of it was, there's no income of energy. There's no income of recognition or support or any of that. It's all just do, give tirelessly with no guarantees and no end. And I guess I'm not built for that. I mean, I guess there are some people who are, but apparently I'm not. Because, yeah, after about 6 months of really trying to do it the right way, the prescribed way, I couldn't anymore. So then I kind of continued doing as much as I could, which was less. And, I wasn't able to keep up with the prescribed release schedule. Like every 6 weeks, you release a new single. But it's not just releasing the single, it's promoting it. It's getting reviews on it. It's, creating artwork. All of the things that go into releasing. So, yeah, so I limped along, and I took breaks and I, didn't have a consistent release schedule after that. And then on May 5th, I released the whole record. And my intention was to do a live show of like at least a sort of scaled back version, but with a taste of what I'm envisioning for the bigger vision. And I had people on board and, I had a space and I just started falling apart. Honestly, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I needed a break. I needed a break. So I released the record, just the record, and I didn't do the show, such as it was. And I still haven't done that. That's still sort of living in my mind of like, okay, maybe someday I'll be able to get back to it, but I can't yet. So it's interesting. I just tried to go in the studio the other day and work on a new song that I was excited to share with the world. And I was just like, just like a wilted flower.
Well, we got to get you in some water fast here.
I know. Well, I think I just have to dare to take a longer break than certainly is allowed in any business. And I mean, so far, I mean, it's just the music, the shoulds of the music business have just buried me.
Hmm.
They've buried me. And so I just don't see any way to do what I'm supposed to be able to do, except I don't think I'm alone. I think there's a lot of artists feeling this way.
I guarantee it. Many of them come on my show.
Yeah. So I guess you're asking where's the anger? The anger is I want to live somewhere where people value music. But it's ironic because people are like, "Oh my God, I love music. Music's so important to me." But they don't know the whole picture of the creator's part side of it. And it should be criminal, quite honestly. It should be criminal how this is built, how there is no path unless you somehow strike it rich in the social media, the TikTok Olympics or whatever. Which it just doesn't like, any other, like it should be a job that you can do, but it's not even related to is like people who know you're an artist. Generally, they're like, oh, well, isn't that fun? Or aren't you lucky? Um, that you get to live your dream and you get to, do your passion. And while there are aspects of that that are absolutely true, yes, you do it because passion, you do it because creative impulse. You you live in a world where it's it's just like right now, it's just like anyway, I'm obviously not in a very good headspace with it. And I don't know where I'll end up with it. I'm hoping that if I take enough time off, I can relight the fires of enthusiasm and maybe find another way to keep being a creative in the world and keep putting things into the world that I think are beautiful and worth experiencing and not be attached to the numbers and the prescribed path and the socials and the all of that. And all of that too is, I mean, when I started doing music in 2000, well, 5, started performing in 2007. Well, started performing in a real, like in a buy a ticketable way. I
Yeah.
was performing before that for a year, but it was rough around the edges. Um, but you could play live, you could like, and what I was doing too was so much less huge, and like it was just like, oh, me and a guitar player, we can make this happen. But what I'm envisioning now is big. It's big, and it wants to be big, and it wants to be this yummy, fabulous theatrical thing. And so the route to that is, well, for one thing, expensive, um, and just more daunting. And not something I can pack up in my Honda Accord and take all over the country and play in people's living rooms. So I don't know. I'm just sitting with all of the unanswered questions. And
Yeah. Thank you
yeah,
for sharing all this with us. It's really interesting to hear your perspective on this and to help you, help you process it and sit with you with it because so many of us go through this. We understand.
well, yeah, and I really want, I mean, I want there to be a way for musicians who aren't famous to be able to be supported in this world. Like what we're doing does matter. Creativity does matter. It's not valued. It's not valued culturally. Um, but it's so important. And I mean, it's the juice of life. So I don't know.
So let's value you for a while. Let's talk about this album. Let's
Okay.
let's get into it and let's move into a
Okay.
place where you're happy because there's lots of questions I have about the record and about the songs. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay.